it's a process. Once you get to that point, now you want to build a relationship. Obviously, not everybody's going to be a good fit for us, and maybe we're not going to be a good fit for others. But through that exploration, and taking notes and being a good listener, you'll get to know if that is actually a good setup.
All righty, welcome back to Are You Winning? This is Craig Zuber, executive coach here, and I'm here today with the awesome Emily Marchese. Emily owns the Marchese real estate team, or the Marchese team, out of Jersey. She's done over, what is it, 105 million? Is that right? Is that about what you do, Emily?
Yep. This year we did 105 million.
105 million in closed volume. That's awesome. So
Yep.
Emily, you've been doing this for about 20 years. Is that right?
That's correct.
You're the CEO. You're in New Jersey. Any other places that you specialize in, or where do you actually service clients, Emily?
Specifically, we're in South Jersey and the Jersey Shore, and we're bridging the gap to Philadelphia. That's our goal for 2023, is to conquer Philly.
South Jersey, Jersey Shore, and now you're just expanding into Philadelphia.
Correct.
Pretty great. Awesome. All right. Well, let's just jump right in.
Okay.
You ready for this, Emily? You ready to tell us exactly what you're winning at right now?
Yeah. Let's talk about it. Recruiting.
Well, times have changed a little bit, right? Over the last 6 months, we're in a whole new playground. Interest rates are a little fascinating, depending upon how you look at it, from where they were to where they are. You've been going at it now, like things have really, really shifted over the last 7 months. And you're saying that within that 7 months of massive change that you're still winning at recruiting?
Yeah, we're still winning at recruiting. I mean, now is the greatest time that, to recruit. People really need your help. The market's changing. A lot of agents out there just need additional support to make it through and weather this storm. And so we're doubling down on recruiting right now.
Doubling down. All right. So tell us what that means. Tell us exactly what you are doing that's working very, very well for you.
What we're doing is we're basically, I went to leadership. I asked for a report of agents' production for the last 12 months. And, if you don't have a membership to Broker Metrics or RE Datum, your leadership can give you a top-down report. That's what it's called. And so once you take a look at that report from your MLS or whatever MLS that you're looking to recruit in, I just start at the top and I immediately eliminate anyone that I know is not culturally a good fit for the Marchese team. That's my first step, is elimination.
Okay. So you go to the Broker Matrix, you get a breakdown of the top-down report, basically looking at production and volume of these agents. Then you're looking at anybody that you absolutely know might not be a good fit, and you eliminate them.
Correct.
All right. Then what do you do?
Then with the remaining, starting from the highest level of production down, I eliminate any of the agents that didn't sell at least 4 houses in the last 12 months.
What made you decide on that number?
The reason why I went with 4 is because I feel like a lot of agents get their real estate license with the thought in mind of selling their own property. And for me, 1 or 2 units just isn't enough to say, hey, I'm committed to this profession. I'm committed to this career. And so I eliminate anyone with 4 or less.
Okay. So now you've done the process of elimination. Now tell us exactly, what are you saying? What are you doing? How are you reaching out?
Yeah. So I just start calling. And when I call, I hit them with the script that basically says, hey, it's Emily Marchese from the Marchese team. I was just checking in since it's that time of year when realtors consider making moves for better opportunities. And I just thought I'd see if this is something you're considering.
So you're just reaching out, asking if they're considering making a move or not.
For an opportunity, for better opportunity.
What kind of opportunity?
a better one than they're in. I could go on and on about that. I mean, we could get into value propositions, but um, the main gist is I'm looking right there for basically a yes or a no. I mean, it's a yes or no question. So if they say no, I'm pretty happy here. That's a common one is, no, not really. I'm pretty happy here. Then my next goal is to hear why they're happy there, because I'm curious to know what other brokerages might be doing or other teams might be doing that maybe I'm not doing. So I basically say, that's great to hear. And just out of curiosity, what makes you happy about your company or your situation? And then I take notes and I listen. So listening is absolutely critical. You can't overtalk these agents. It's better to just sit back and let them talk and hear them out. And when they're done telling me why they're happy at their company, I'm taking notes and I say, that's some great advice, thanks for that. And, so what's your goal for 2023? And then I listen again and I listen to them tell me, right now I'm doing real estate part-time and I want to do it full-time. So my goal is to sell one house a month or whatever it is that they say. Then I say, well, you know what? I wish you the best of luck. And, we do prospecting nights where we call our database. And, if you ever want to come and hang out with us, I'd love for you to come by and see how we do it and hang out with us for the night. And a lot of times they're like, hey, yeah, that's a great idea. Or maybe they're like, well, no, I don't really have to do, I can't do that because I have to be with my family at night or whatever the case may be. But I make a note, then I follow up with them later down the line. And I also, what's good about making those notes and keeping track of what they said is next year, this time I can go back and see if they actually hit their goals. So, for future, it's great to just document everything. And obviously you want to keep that in a CRM, which is what I'm doing. So the next part would be if they say, well, yeah, actually, I'm open to hearing opportunities, or yeah, I'm considering making a move. Then I'm like, okay, jackpot goes off. No pun intended, Craig. So I say to them then, like, okay, well, that's great to hear, and what does that opportunity look like? Like, what's a better opportunity look like for you? Because I'm curious to know what their pain point is. Because once I know that, then maybe it is beneficial for us to get in business together, or for me to help guide them in their process of making a move. And again, it's just listening to everything they say, making notes. And I basically say to them, well, I'd love to send you or show you our career opportunities guide. We offer leads, coaching, training, support, so you can hit your goals. And then I listen some more. And if I think it's a good fit, then I will, invite them in to come into the office and review it with me, or if I'll send it by email, but I'm definitely following up. So I guess what I'm trying to say is it's a process. Once you get to that point, now you want to build a relationship. Obviously, not everybody's going to be a good fit for us. And maybe we're not going to be a good fit for others. But through that exploration, and taking notes and being a good listener, you'll get to know if that is actually a good setup. And then I follow up the email with, just like I said, the career opportunities guide, value proposition, a link to a video of us that kind of shows how much fun we are. Like, we just did an event here in the office and it was great. So I'll send them a video of that. Just anything to show them that we might be a contender for that.
So you're reaching out to them, just staying in curiosity, making notes, listening to everything that they're saying. And then whether they're happy or they're considering a new opportunity, you're inviting them in to come experience some element of what you're doing as an organization. Do I got that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Really recruiting, you're actually just inviting, not necessarily recruiting, to experience what it would actually be like in your organization and help them make a great decision.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I always invited people to do stuff with us just to help them. Just, mostly KW agents within our market center. I'd always say, hey, we're doing a bold 100 today. Why don't you come in? We're going to have breakfast, get your, production up. And I never really thought of it as being a recruiting type tool, but actually, you had mentioned it to me to do it. And I was like, you know what? That is the best thing really I could do, because it's almost like somebody can try you out, see what you're like, see if they like you without actually having to commit prior to. I think a lot of these recruiting things, the agents they don't even know what they want, but they get offered something and they sign away their life and they never even really tried it out. And then they're sorry that they did that. So that's not easy for either party. So it has to be mutually beneficial.
So it's interesting that, we're in this industry called real estate. The real estate industry is all about relationships. So you reach out, you listen, you're developing a relationship with them first.
Mm-hmm.
And you're inviting them to come in to experience,
right?
Because life is about experiences. So it's relationships first, experience second, followed with potential result. Instead of leading with the result, you're leading with the two things that matter most in order to get a result in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the last thing I want is for us to onboard someone, go through all the training process to find out something I could have known prior to, and I didn't. So, that's what it's all about. I mean, it's not about getting as many people as you can. It's about getting the people where you can have a mutually beneficial relationship for the long term.
Yeah. Massive difference between more people and the right people.
Exactly.
Hey there, I'm Jeremy Herman, CEO and co-founder of ClarityNOW. Listening to this podcast means that you're committed to your career and to growing your business. You're the reason why we created ClarityNOW. You see, ClarityNOW is the real estate software designed to transform real estate agents into business owners. Now, being a great real estate agent is an entirely different skill set than being a great business owner. That's where ClarityNOW can help. ClarityNOW is powerful because some of the industry's top real estate coaches built it. We know what insights as coaches top performers need to grow their business. So, do you have a business plan based on your net profit goals? Do you know how you're performing against your quarterly goals? Do you generate a P&L each month? Do you have the best tools to help your team members hit their goals? Are you managing your company's pipeline and conversion reports? Do you have the data that you need at your fingertips to run a successful business? ClarityNOW can solve all these problems. Visit us at www.claritynowre.com and schedule a personalized tour to learn more. Mention this ad and we'll throw in 1 month for free. Congratulations on your success, and let's take your business to the next level together.
So, has there been a time that you made mistakes or some learning lessons through this process?
Oh, so many. And some of them, mistakes just because I'm a pretty caring individual. And I've, when I ask questions and I see that maybe they might have had a rough road or they deserve a chance, I've taken a chance, and, those are the kind of mistakes that I'm not going to be making moving forward, but I don't regret making them because I was just trying to help someone. But I think, when you've been in the business 20 years or you have experience working with a lot of different realtors and personality types, from the get-go which ones probably aren't a good fit, no matter how nice they are, how, caring or whatever the case may be. It's never going to work out. It has to really be right. And now I've kind of refined the process in how I know who's right and who's not. And that's probably, those mistakes led me to this point.
So can you give us an example of that refinement process?
Sure. So the first thing I do is send them a disc. And I like the disc.
What is a disc for people that may or may not know that's listening in?
So the disc is measures your natural versus your adaptive ability in the drive, the stability, how cautious you are, really the type of person you are. I've come to realize, and there's no right or wrong answer on that, but I've come to realize that unless you have at least a medium drive, that we're probably not the yin and yang to each other. Like if the drive is really low, but maybe they're really stable and extra cautious and super safe in the way that they handle situations, like that's great. That's a certain type of personality. It's just, it doesn't complement mine. And so I'm not the best fit for them. So I have come to realize that you got to have at least a medium level D to kind of move forward. And that's really what I'm looking for. I really don't care about anything else. It's that part, because after going back and looking at relationships that didn't work out, every one of them was on a low D scale, and our personalities just don't match. It's hard to communicate with someone that's completely opposite of you. So from then, I like that one first because it's quick. It's only like 10, 15 minutes. It's free. Go online to Tony Robbins' website. You could do it. They fill in their email address. They take the little 10-minute assessment. Then they get the results and they forward them to you. And then you know what you're up against. Then if they get past that first step, the next thing I do is I talk to them about their background. I want to make sure that they have winning traits in their background, in their history. I think, Craig, you gave me that advice. And I think that's probably some of the best advice that you've given me, is because, again, when I look back and I listen to maybe their high school story or what happened to them in college or in relationships with their family, it's always the people that didn't have the winning background that didn't work out for me. It just wasn't a good fit. It wasn't a good match. So now I identify that. And thank you so much for telling me that. You're the Mac Daddy. And then from there, I also want to see that they're competitive. I'm extremely competitive. I think some of the greatest salesmen in general are extremely competitive. I want to see that they played sports, they were an athlete, whatever the case may be, or maybe they're a science and math nerd and they competed on that level. As long as they have a competitive spirit to them, I definitely want to see that too. So if that's there and there's not a lot of emotional or personal baggage, then I move forward with them. We go to the next step. So the next step is we review my value proposition with them, and I make sure that that's a good fit, because the next step is kind of long. So if they don't agree that my value proposition is in line with their goals and what they're looking to do, I'm not going to move on to that next step, because that one's a long one. So we go through that, and then I say, okay, now I need you to do this last part, and it's take the KPA. I know there's mixed reviews about the KPA. I think I've mastered reading that test. So I'm extremely, every time I've ever KPA'd anyone and I verified the KPA, I've never had a surprise in the end, if that makes sense. So, and plus that's also a test, because that's a 40-minute test, which not really a test, but an assessment. But you have to, like you had told me once, give them a task and see if they do it. Send them off, give them something to do, see if they do it and come back. There's been candidates that I thought were really the right fit, and then I would send them the KPA and they never took it, because I preface that with, listen, this is a timed assessment, so don't have any disruptions. Make sure that you have 45 minutes of uninterrupted time when you open that email and decide to take it. I said, because if you take a phone call in the middle of a time section, it's going to skew the results. And what I like about that test is that it shows your strengths and your weaknesses. We all have strengths and weaknesses. So there's no right or wrong answer. But if we know what our weaknesses are and we know what our strengths are, we could really work on them. We could use our strengths to our advantage. I could strategically place you on my team, set you up for success, knowing that we have these weaknesses that we need to work on. And they're like, okay. So, but ironically enough, some people never actually took it. So that left me to believe that they didn't have a level of confidence in themselves, or maybe at that point, they didn't think it was a mutually beneficial relationship. And so they didn't take it any further. But the ones that do have, and once their results come back, I look at them and I'm like, okay, I could see this. I'm now it kind of confirms what I already thought. I've never really been surprised, to be honest. I've gotten to that point and I thought, all right, let me KPA them and let's see where they're at. And I didn't believe that they would score the way I wanted to see them score. And for that reason, that validated that they really weren't the right fit and we weren't going to have a mutually beneficial relationship. So it's more for me like a validation either way, and is my thought process on track and right in thinking that they're going to get a little tripped up on this because they're really not as technologically enabled as they think they are, or are they really smart and, they score off the charts. And then I'm like, okay, I figured they would do that, but let's take a look at where they're weak and see if that's something that might be a hurdle for them down the line. I mean, I only want agents that are going to find success on, being within my organization. It's not fair to anyone, either party, if they're not going to be. So
Sounds like you put a lot of time and effort into this refining exactly who you need, the characteristics that you need,
mhm.
The people that would be a good fit for you and for them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's setting you up from success from jump, and it's a lot of clarity just from the very beginning. Because if I bring them on and there's a couple things that I'm unsure of, and those things present themselves right away, then I'm not wasting time like 9 months later saying to myself, how did I get in this mess? Like, let's just, my gut was right. The test showed it. I moved forward anyway. Now I know not to make that mistake again. But at least I knew at that point that that is exactly what I was looking for. And it showed right up. And as soon as it came up, I was like, all right, it's time to move on. So it's working well. It is a lot of time, but I think it's well worth it. It's well worth it because there's nothing worse than having a team member that just isn't hitting their goals. Nothing. For me, I don't care about them not hitting their goals from my financial perspective. It's their financial perspective that I really care about.
You're investing the time upfront to figure out whether this is going to be the right fit. Because when you've chosen to skip the steps and not invest the time upfront, what was the result?
Yeah. I mean, lack of clarity, waste of time, effort, money, for both parties, really. Not just for me, but for everyone, even the team. Everybody likes to help each other around here. So, you could easily get distracted trying to help someone that maybe shouldn't have even been in the position to be helped from the beginning.
Pretty interesting, right? Like in order to go faster, you actually need to slow down and get more clear.
Yep.
Slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Yep. Yes. And I feel like, for the people listening that are like, their heads are spinning, it took me a long time to get here. I mean, I've been in the Zuber orbit for like 6-7 years now. I mean, come on, from day one to now, taken a long time to get here, but it feels pretty purposeful now. So it might take a little bit of time, but it's very purposely spent.
That's what I was going to say. I'm like, you're way more focused, way more intentional, way more passionate about making sure that you are 100% on point and clear with the right people, not just people.
Exactly.
Instead of going after agent count, you're going after the right fit to set each other up for success.
Exactly.
It's awesome.
Yeah. It's the yin to the yang.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, let's shift gears a little bit and learn a little bit about you. You okay to do that?
Okay, let's do it.
All right, let's just have some fun. Tell us a movie or, I don't know, a Netflix series or something like that that you're streaming or downloading.
Oh, I'm completely addicted. I mean, I don't watch a lot of TV because I don't have time, but I have been making, an hour here or there for The Handmaid's Tale. It's on Hulu, the best show. If you don't, are you familiar with it?
I'm not.
Okay. It's awesome. It's about basically, the world is in utter chaos because of the toxicity of the planet. People are not conceiving children. So the population is dwindling. So this reform and revolution begins, and they take over America, create a new country. And the women that can conceive become basically like surrogates, but against their will. It's crazy.
Okay.
It's insane. I mean, it kind of makes you think, like, maybe I should get a little piece of real estate outside of the US, just in case something like this happens. But most of the Americans fled to Canada, so like that's a whole thing. But it's awesome. It's a little bit of a slow start. So if you start watching it, like, hang in there. It's good.
All right. Got it. How about a book? A business book or a book that's had the most impact or significant impact on your life?
The most impactful book that I've read in the last like 10 years really was The One Thing. I haven't read it in a few years, but that really, I just think, put it in perspective that, we just overcomplicate everything. Just, focus on lead gen. Everything else falls into place. Lead gen, lead follow-up. That's it. It's your one thing. If you're a real estate, agent out there, that's what you need to focus on. And then listening to the podcasts after I read the book a few times was awesome. I mean, those conversations on those podcasts, I used to listen to one every morning while I was at the gym. It was like instead of watching TV, I was listening to that. And that really gave me a lot of ideas and just to be a better human leader, to serve.
Love it.
I love that.
Is there a specific like CEO or business person or people that you study?
People that I study, you mean besides you, Craig?
Besides,
I mean, I do actually, I kind of go from thing to thing. I mean, I watched Marcus Lemonis for a couple of years. I was watching his profit show. That kind of really helped me think about numbers a lot differently. I followed Ben Kinney for a long time. I think he's amazing. Obviously Gary, big inspiration.
absolutely. All right. What if you can go back? If you go back to when you're 20 years old, what advice would you give yourself?
Get a coach sooner. Get a coach right away. I wasted 13 years and I got my license when I was only 24 years old. So, I'm 20 years in the business now. I'm 45. And I think I didn't get a coach until 2016. And I always used to go to a lot of training classes, like the real estate convention in my tri-state area every year. I was always very learning based, but nobody really told me like, hey, just because you're not a professional athlete doesn't mean you shouldn't have a coach. Like, I wish somebody told me back then to hire a coach, because that is probably the only thing, and the greatest impact on my career has been definitely in coaching with you guys. No, little perk there.
So after you decide what you want to do when you grow up, get a coach to help you get there faster.
Exactly. I actually, I came into the business in 2003. And when the market crashed in '07, I struggled for like all of 2008. I didn't make any money. All I knew was how great the market was and how the business was coming to me. And because of that struggle, I actually sent my license back to the state and I gave up being in real estate. And for basically almost 3 years, I didn't do anything real estate wise. And then I thought, you know what? I'm older, I'm wiser. Like, I had my kids, they were kind of situated. And I was like, I'm going back to real estate because I have what it takes. I just didn't have any direction. And that was kind of the bridge where the internet really boomed. And I had an inkling then that maybe some of the older realtors would probably not adapt to technology very well. And that's when I came back in like 2011, 2011, I came back. And thank God I did, because I could have, like, it's crazy how my life is right now. I could never dream it to be better than this. It's insane.
Well, that will just move us right into the next question, which would be, if you could choose any other profession outside of real estate, what would it be?
Any other profession, it would definitely be a professional slot player. I'd be a professional gambler.
Professional gambler.
Professional gambler.
Aren't you a professional gambler already?
I mean, according to my accountant, I am. I mean, I guess it kind of comes with the territory when you live right outside of Atlantic City. So, but it's only gambling if you don't know what you're doing. If you know what you're doing and you're doing it strategically, it's not really gambling.
Okay. Emily Marchese, the gambler. All right. Well, this has been awesome, Emily. Thanks again for being a guest and joining us today. And especially a special thank you to our sponsor, ClarityNOW. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast to get in the trenches with top real estate business owners who are winning and willing to share their lessons. Thanks so much for sharing yours. It's been a pleasure, Emily.
Thanks, Craig. And thank you. Thanks for everything.